So we had a question come in about how important is it to learn how to properly do bowings as a librarian? I'll just talk a little briefly about this. So I'm a horn player, so I've never, well, there's a picture of me, actually, my old assistant played viola, and one time when we were doing a concert, he took a picture of me like holding his viola, and I just look like so scared to even hold the instruments. I'm like, I'm gonna break it. Like, just not comfortable like holding the thing. Anyways, and so I mean, I knew nothing about bowings like going into this, and the basic way it was just explained to me was like, here's a principal stand, and you just copy everything that's like in that to this. And so I kind of took it upon myself because I wanted to just, the way that I learn, I was like, okay, I don't want to just be like copying. I want to understand like why this is a down bow, why is this up bow, why is this like this long slur over this? Because as a wind player, like we interpret these things differently as phrasing, and that's kind of like how I was approaching it at first. I was like, that's so long, that's such a long phrase, or that's such a, like I was interpreting like the bowings almost as like breath marks, and so which is not, I mean, yes and no, but and so I actually had the great opportunity with the music director at CMU to take like an independent study for a semester, and he kind of just like taught me all of the different like bowing styles, like based on period of classical music, and then just like the different, like what the different techniques were, and like how divises are divided up and what that sounds like in an orchestra depending on how you do it. And so that kind of gave me at least like a baseline of how to understand like, okay, this is why this is this. And we talked about it a little bit earlier that like I would love to one day like take a lesson just to even kind of apply all of that, like the intellectual things that are up here, and then put them here. This is how you play, right? uh, so yeah, that's kind of, I think it is important to have, if you can get an opportunity like that, to just talk with a string player. Like I'm sure somebody, you know, if you buy them snacks, they'll sit down with you for like a couple hours and go through a piece with you. Like sit down, you know, bow the first page of Beethoven 5, and they'll play, like have them play your bowings for you so you can hear like, this is what this would sound like if you mess up. Not mess up, it's a teaching moment, but here's how I would do this. Cause so that helped me a lot, like putting the visual with the like audio of like, oh, this is how that sounds, and this is why that wouldn't work for a string player. So I think that can be a big learning tool. So long story short, yes, it's important. To the extent, up to you.
Yeah, I think also with just like learning how to do bowings, and part of that, like another big part of our job, kind of transition into the next part, is like how you do them. I have gotten a lot of parts with, like Joanna mentioned, like the whiteout in them that has been scraped off and put back on, and like bowings that are just horrific, and I've had to edit a lot of parts. So one of my favorite things, probably off of my addiction to like create parts that belong with the set, is I like to digitally recreate a part, or completely erase part, scan it, and then adjust it in Photoshop, and like erase all the bowings and put them back in. And since I don't always have budget for Photoshop or a library with Photoshop, I will use Facetune, the $4.99 app on the App Store. I will put it on my iPad, and I will sit there. You can't even use your Apple Pencil because it just doesn't work with Facetune. And I use my finger to erase bowings on white paper with the teeth whitening tool. And I will go through, like, it takes a very long time to do this. And I'll go through parts and erase all of those. And it's like, that's a lot of my job as a bower, is the first steps of taking care of the parts. And then I like to ask for assistance when it's actually putting the bowings in, at least for the first stand, to make sure that, like, I don't know, weird strings that string players will be able to catch aren't in the first part. So then when I'm replicating in all the other parts, it makes sense. But yeah, I definitely think, Simone, that it's a great idea to meet with a string player, and I'll have to get to that soon this year probably, and learn a little bit more about what it's like to bow apart from scratch.
Okay, moral of the story, someone give Nick a job and buy him
Yeah,
Photoshop.
honestly. Photoshop should be like part of the MOLA deal. Oh, Photoshop sponsorship for MOLA, all librarians.
And Facetune auto or sponsorship. Sponsor
You know, I
us!
don't think people need that. That app hasn't been updated since like 2017.
I do want to say, like, as a string player, I'm a violist, and like, it's very easy for like non-string players to be like, this is so foreign to me. But even as a string player, like, sometimes bowings just like are weird. They're just a weird thing. They're really important and really useful. But like, even if I'm bowing a viola part, I wouldn't bow it the same way I'd bow a cello part or a double bass part, just because of the nature of the instruments. Like, it's not a one size fits all. Everyone bows things different ways. If you asked of like the first violin section all to like bow the first page of a piece, you'd get 6 different interpretations. So there's no right way to do bowings. There just isn't. It just has to be, everyone has to be the same. Everyone has to agree on one way. Here's my 2 cents.
And I'll kind of add on to that. So like for those who are just kind of like getting into library work, when you're doing bowings, like as a librarian, there's kind of this like chain. So it always usually starts at the first violin. And so the concert master kind of, either if it's a, you know, fresh part, will just, you know, bow it, be the kind of like template. And then, or if it's a part that's been bowed before, I'll kind of just say like, hey, this is, we usually date in the corner, like we'll put initials and say like, hey, 20, like 16, RL, whatever. And so we did this piece 4 years ago. You were the concert master on that concert. Do you want to change anything? And they'll usually just say like, no, it's fine. And then kind of just like a domino effect after that, so that the other string players have something to go off of. It's why, you know, everybody's uniformed when you go to an orchestra concert, because they're all on the same page, literally.
Good one. Yeah,
I love bowing signatures so much, and I do mine very specifically. I do like the little bowing symbol with the down bow, up bow, and then my initials, and then the year, and it's my favorite thing. It is so rewarding. I wait till I'm done with the whole set, and then I'll do them all. It's like a little like treat at the end. It's like the M&M trail, and I do them, and I do them so like. I make sure I do it with the 2B pencil still, but I make sure it's one with like a flat end, so I can make it real thick, and it always looks very good on my part.
Do you all use 2B pencils for bowings?
Who else does anybody use anything else? I think that's the question. Is it allowed?
I use a 3B pencil.
Yeah, and like I know people that use 4Bs. Shout out to Allie at Allie's at Austin now, I believe. But her preferred pencil was this Mitsubishi that's like the triangle one. Like I'm showing you guys, like you can see. It's the triangle shaped one. It's a 4B. It's super butter. It's not.
I use a 6H, and I like to just rip apart vintage parts, just like.
I love my 3B pencil because like it's annoying. It gets dull really fast. That's the downside to it. But like it makes really, really nice dark lines the first time. And like if you sharpen it consistently, like there's still like nice, neat, thin lines, and they're super easy to erase because it's softer lead and it doesn't like dig into the part as much.
Oh wait, what'd you say? Half the pressure, twice the speed?
There you go.
Blackwing, no wait, Blackwing, sponsor us.
Yes, oh my gosh, please.
Blackwing, sponsor us.
I have a few sitting here.
Everyone. I could hold up all of mine.
Right here.
Blackwing.
Okay, Rich. That's why I can't afford Photoshop.
It's because we use Blackwing pencils. Sponsor us. We love you. I want to just second what Blake was saying, and like, and Simone, I guess, kind of like resonating off of everyone. It's like, yes, there's technique to like the way that you're writing the up bows and the down bows, and you know how much you're pressing on the paper and where the placement is over the note. Like there's these things that are like inherently like technical. But I wouldn't say that, you know, there's a correct way of doing it. I think the correct way is the way that your orchestra wants it done. So I think instead of going in with like, this is how it's done, every ensemble is different, right? Every principal string player is different. Insert eye rolls about principal string players. And it's, I mean, everyone wants things different. So I think instead of going in with, this is how it's done, this is how I'm going to do it, it's how do they want it done? And having that open chain of communication with, you know, your principal players, your section players, all of your players. It's like, how do you want your music prepped? Because I, as a librarian, have the ability to be flexible with, you know, one part from the other. So I think having that open-mindedness, as well as the skills in your arsenal to back up whatever people ask for, that's the key. You have to have a mixed bag. It's, you know, the Mary Poppins bag is just like endless, and you know, we need to know all of the things. And every musician's different and wants it different. So get learning, I guess.
Yeah. It's just the easy thing to have with them, like a first thing, because you know this is my first job, like full-time job. I just asked them, I was like, what's the system that you guys have? I'm willing to do whatever forever, like as long as I get the Bowings. And so they all actually use this app. I'd have to go back and look the name of it, and I love it because they do the markings in red. So like, especially if it's a part that's already been bowed, I can tell, like, because I do everything digital, everything's scanned, so they all kind of just do it on their iPad and like make the changes back to me.
You need to share this platform with us.
Yeah, so they all inherited it themselves. I don't know if it was my predecessor, Mark Fujina, that was like, yeah, do this, or they were like, we're all just getting together and we're doing this app.
Yeah, so that's amazing. Will you mind sharing the name of the app with us, and we can share it with anyone who struggles with getting their Bowings back from principal string players?
Yeah, because it works out really nicely, because I just send them the PDF, they download it to the app, and then it just spits it back right out to me, like when they're done. So, because there's like an option to like share from the app the markings, so there's nothing that they have to like print off or like rescan to me or whatever.
Hot damn.